So we are officially recording, and this is open to the public. So we have a live audience who is watching this. So welcome everyone. Thanks for being part of this. Politics NY with Sky and Steve Witt here. We're part of the Politics NY Schneps Media team. And this is the New York City Council District 15 debate / discussion. We are the only outlet. Schneps Media is the only media outlet providing a platform for every single New York City Council candidate to have their voice heard and faces shown and personalities on display. So again, if you haven't been part of my 3 questions in 3 minutes, let's please do that together, where I highlight people in a fun, candid way. Next week is the last week we're doing it, and then we're going to focus on these debates, and we're getting so close to the primary. So today will be fast and fun. It's our unique debate style. So every time you speak, just try and keep it short. And I guess we'll have to cut you off if you're going on for way too long, but we'll try and keep it short. And again, there will be an opportunity to open it up into like a little bit of a discussion. So we'd like to encourage that as well. So as you know, District 15, we have the newly elected councilman here, Oswald Feliz. There was a special election for this district on March 23rd, and Oswald won that. So he's the current council member, but then it's a confusing process, right? Because there's another primary in June and another election in November. So the neighborhoods at stake here, Bedford Park, Fordham, Mount Hope, Bathgate, Belmont, East Tremont, West Farms, Van Ness, Allerton, Allenville, they're all the neighborhoods. So let's just begin. We'll go in alphabetical order, beginning with last name. So that is Kenny. We'll go first. And just give us your 1-minute elevator pitch of who you are and why you're running, maybe a little bit about your background and experience, and just that 1 minute. That'll be our little opening here. So thank you again.
Thank you. My name is Kenny Agosto. I'm a lifelong resident of the Bronx, born in the Belmont section in the district. Went to Morris High School, St. Thomas University, degree in political science and history, minor in communications. I've been a lifelong public advocate, community activist, work in the state for the last 18 years, providing world-class community constituent services. I served on community boards and many boards. And I'm here to just keep the conversation going for us to discuss the vital needs of our community. We were hit with this pandemic that hit us on the head when we were in the middle of housing shortage and food deserts and just poverty all the way around. And it hit us and exacerbated the situation. So I'm here to continue that conversation of how do we improve it? How do we improve what we have and the representation we need for our district?
Thank you. I think Troy is next if we're doing the last names.
Sure thing. Was just making sure I'm freeze on you guys. Am I good?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Troy Blackwell, proud to be running for City Council District 15. I'm a proud son of the Bronx, grew up in this district. I said many times, my stepdad is a small business owner here in the district, went to school here, and I'm running because we are facing multiple crises, and I'm someone who's guided by my faith, and my faith tells me to help the most vulnerable among us. We know that homelessness is up, we know that gun violence is up, we know that food insecurity is up, and I want to help bring those things down and help those who need the most help right now in our district. I'm someone who went from living in public housing to working, in presidential politics. Started off many years ago as an intern in the White House. Since then, have worked for Vice President Harris, and just thinking of all those experiences, want to bring it back and help the people who've helped me and the community at home.
Thank you. And thank you, candidates, for keeping it short and sweet as we introduce ourselves right now. So I think next is Oswald.
Thank you so much, Sky, with PoliticsNY, organizing this debate, and thank you all who are watching. I'm Oswald Feliz. I am a lifelong Bronxite. I've lived on Fordham Road my entire life. I come from very humble beginnings. My mom was a home attendant. My father was a taxi driver. I've dedicated my entire life to improving my community. As a tenant lawyer, I've defended vulnerable tenants at risk of eviction and also vulnerable to landlord harassment. I also teach in the Bronx. I teach at Hostos Community College, reading and writing to struggling students. And also, I am the proud council member of the 15th Council District. I ran for city council because we deserve a better Bronx. We deserve a Bronx where low-income people could get access to good schools so they could be prepared for the future and be prepared to achieve their dreams. I also ran for city council because we need truly affordable housing. And last but not least, we have a public safety issue that we have to work on as well. I've been in office for about 2.5 weeks. The election was held in March, and the results were finally certified about a month later, ranked to the voting process. And I am proud to announce that I have already delivered on all the issues that I promised, on issues of education, issues of housing, and issues of education. And I am only getting started, therefore I'm humbly asking everybody to vote again for me on June 22nd so I could continue being your council member and can continue delivering on the issues that the people of the Bronx care about.
Fantastic. Thank you. Bernadette.
Yes, thank you. I am proud to be here today. This is exciting. My name is Bernadette Ferrara. I'm a working class candidate from a family of immigrants. I'm a single mother with very, very deep roots in my Bronx community. I've been a community activist for many, many years. I am the founding member of the Van Ness Neighborhood Alliance and have been its president since 2015. I sit on the board of the Morris Park Business Improvement District. I also sit on the Community Board 11 since 2008, serving on the Youth and Education Committee, and in the past on the Housing Committee and Economic Development Committee. I know what the problems are in my district, and I know how to solve them with practical, common sense solutions. I know what the problems are, and I understand the focus and the needs of the people in my district. And I want to be your voice. I want to be their voice in city council. Everybody wants the same thing. We want economic stability, good schools, neighborhood amenities, and safe streets. When you go to the ballot on this June Democratic primary, my name will be the first on the ballot. And I'm asking everybody, go to my website, ferraraforcitycouncil.com. Check out my key issues. And trust me, you will be in agreement. And if you are in agreement, please, I'm asking you to vote for me on June 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Aramis now, and switching things up a little, because as you see, he has this elephant behind him, which indicates that he is a Republican candidate, but there is a Republican primary in this district, as there's not only just one Republican candidate.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aramis Ocasio. Good evening. First of all, I want to say I am a proud Republican, mostly because I know the values of Republican. I align with them because during this primary, we have very limited demographic when it comes to the Republican Party here in our district in elections. So for some reason, I thought I was the only one. I just want to say that because there wasn't signs and the usual representation that you see from a candidate. Now, I'm running on the Republican ticket, first of all, because I do align with their values. I understand conservative values. I understand having to take care of our programs and our fundamental programs first. And then I also understand mostly that we do have to take care of the housing problems we have. We have to take care of our elderly, disabled, and that starts with hitting the programs that we have here in the district. So that way we can bring them to the people instead of always having. Basically, I'm running to try to help the disabled and elderly of this district, and also represent fairly for the Republicans who did sign my petition, and also not only sign my petition, but I spoke with before I was able to get on the ballot. Thank you.
Fantastic. And last but not least, and again, if other candidates join, we will invite them in. And just so everyone knows, we invited all the candidates to participate. If you're on the ballot this year, you're invited to participate in our debates. It's part of our democracy on display, if you will. Everyone has a voice. John Sanchez.
Good afternoon. My name is John Sanchez. I'm a proud candidate for city council, and I'm running for the 95% of people that didn't vote in March, that didn't have their voices heard and deserve to have their voices heard. The ones that aren't aligned with county machines, political parties, or political establishment. And they're craving new leadership with new ideas and specific ideas for the district. That means, as the community board district manager of Community Board 6, we've gone above and beyond the job description. That's what people want. Having year-round paid internship programs, fixing the traffic at Fordham Road, making sure people have job opportunities that don't require college degrees. That's what I'm eager and willing to do in the city council. And that's why I'm hoping to earn your vote in June, the election that really matters.
Awesome. Thank you, candidates, for introducing yourselves. And now I'm going to turn it over to Steve to ask his complex housing question that really does come up in a lot of these different districts, especially in the Bronx.
Yeah, I am not sure whether you have HDFC co-ops in your district. Does anybody know that real quick?
We have a few of them, yes.
All right, well,
We can talk about housing in general if it's not specific to those HDFCs.
right. Well, in regard to housing, okay, there a lot of nonprofit developers are coming in and they're redeveloping properties, and the tenants sometimes feel that they were sold a false bill of goods, that they were given co-ops for X amount of money, and they were able to build equity in those co-ops. And as it turns out, they weren't able to build equity because it was affordable, and they weren't able to transfer equity to family. And then a lot of these nonprofits are going back in and displacing these tenants and saying, well, we have to redevelop the property now because you didn't take good care of it. And I'm wondering, as a city council person, are you going to look at any oversight over nonprofit developers?
And we can go in the same order.
So the issues are that you have HCSCs. Some of them are just placed in a certain hold. We have 202s, we have Mitchell-Lamas, we have different types. Now we have developers going into the New York City Housing Authority, where they're changing from Section 9 to Section 8. They're putting money into them, but a lot of the tenants aren't seeing those changes. A lot of it is done on the exterior and not in the apartments. You know, the city has absolutely oversight over different parts of this animal. We have to look at everything. We have to make sure that the developers aren't taking an unfair advantage. You know, the city can do many things. HPD and NYCHA has to do it. We're not getting a lot of money from the federal government to help the NYCHA, so people are getting to the RAD program. In terms of Mitchell-Lamas, they are affordable, but they are parts that have equity buildup, but not enough to do what we want to do. As a city council member, I'm going to definitely make sure that we fight for the best way to help our tenants, but we just can't give away our public housing away.
Mm-hmm. Now I see Troy looks like he is missing. So let's skip over to Oswald. And, you know, in your introduction, council member, you mentioned that you've done a lot of the things that you had on your platform. Was this something that you vowed to address?
Absolutely. We should not allow anyone to take advantage of low-income, vulnerable people. Many of the people that are subjected to this type of conduct are low-income people who don't have access to lawyers to help them with the co-op process or the leasing process. It's very unfortunate that some landlords or some management systems, they pretend like they are selling a co-op. The vulnerable tenants purchase it or rent it, they improve it, spend money improving their apartment, and then in many cases, the landlord or the management company takes the apartment back. We need to make sure that these low-income tenants have access to lawyers to make sure that no one takes advantage of them. In addition to that, we might have to, if this becomes a big problem in the Bronx, we'll have to strengthen our rules and the laws relating to contracts. In cases where a landlord or management company gives the appearance that they are selling an apartment, that should basically qualify as selling the apartment, right? Rather than being super involved in like the language and etc. If they give the impression that they're selling a co-op, that should be considered a sale. So absolutely, we shouldn't allow anyone to take advantage of low-income people. And if we have to strengthen our laws, we as a tenant lawyer, I'll be doing that in the city council.
Thank you. Bernadette.
Well, you know, in District 15, I guess I'll just first address, there are 2,150 NYCHA developments in District 15. I mean, I don't understand how the issues with housing, that so many were not addressed first. First of all, the falsely certified, that they were supposed to be lead-free. What happened to those certifications? The people, if, you know, it sounds like there has to be more accountability, and the laws have to work on making, if there are nonprofits going to be in here, there has to be accountability. Like Oswald said, these contracts, et cetera, have to be made clear so that anybody, me, you, anybody, whether low income, middle class, it has to be clear about what they're doing. This is all about accountability. So I just think there needs to be clarity and accountability across the board so that nobody feels that they're being taken advantage of, so that there is a resource. So if I have a question, if I'm a tenant, I want to know, okay, who do I go to basically say, what's this? And should I be concerned? Am I going to lose my home? Am I being sold a home? If there are questions like that, there needs to be resources. And I think it's accountability across the board.
Aramis, let's hear your thoughts on this issue.
Hi, so first of all, I'm a former scaffolder. I worked 7 years in construction for very well-known Bronx companies all over New York City. I understand the public housing. Well, I say I understand public housing a little bit better than some people because I've actually worked on it firsthand, not from a standpoint where I set up the contracts for the city, but where I built I built for people. You know, scaffolding was it taught me a lot about how the public housing in the city works, and that there is a lot of it. But you know, what I really want to get to is giving safe homes to like pretty much the word vulnerable New Yorkers, vulnerable Bronx residents, all voters alike, giving them an opportunity to be able to get the housing and get that done, and not have, you know, I'm an industrialist myself. I understand what it is to build, but not have people take advantage of low income housing and people who quite don't know the market as better as some people who don't know the market as well as I really don't know how to fix it. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I say. Like, that's why I am a Republican. I do stand for Trump, because I understand building, but I also understand not letting anyone take advantage of our residents.
Okay, and John.
All right, let's get back to the question, Steve. Your question was about HDFC co-ops. These are co-ops that the city allowed for people to have ownership over their apartments back in the 80s when buildings were deteriorating. The situation we have right now is that a lot of these HDFCs, their co-op boards had low maintenance charges for years. The buildings are in disrepair, and as a result, they're facing foreclosure. And the issue is the city is trying to foreclose on them so nonprofits can take over the apartments, so people no longer own shares, but instead rent. I think that's wrong. I think the city, what they should have done 30 years ago was provide funds for repairs, because these were buildings that had issues to begin with. I think going forward, the city council needs to allocate funds for repairs to these HDFC co-ops, not allow them to be foreclosed, and make sure that they can retain ownership that they've been investing in for the past 30 years.
Great. Does anyone else want to respond? Even the way that John just explained it, I feel like was clear.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the topic?
I'd like to just say something with regards to that. I just think that with all the money that has been put into NYCHA and the public housing, that going forward, if there's going to be an infusion of money into one fund, than the actual work ethic of the city about how we're spending this money. It's all about accountability, okay? If somebody says, I could change my light bulbs, I could do it. You don't have to spend that money, spend it somewhere else. There should be an option. Okay, right now, there are options. Things are being told. So I think going forward, the amount, how the money is being spent is the most important thing, not putting into one fund. It really needs to be looked at.
I also want to say that the city and state, when we set these up, we set false promises because we wanted to do everything low, but with maintenance being so low that you don't have a protection. You can't build equity to fix something. A lot of these places that we've had to help over the years, even people that didn't live in the district where I was working, over there over on the East Bronx, there was these houses that they had their furnaces built wrongly, and we couldn't even get the occupancy certifications, so we couldn't do anything with that. There's a lot of things that we have Mitchell-Lama programs that's no longer, there are no new Mitchell-Lamas. We're trying to get something of a concept to allow people to afford their homes. We want people to age into their homes, and we don't have any mechanism. The federal government has to give us more money. There's been a disinvestment in housing for years. As far as what Bernadette was saying with NYCHA, we're $2 billion in the hole. And we have people right now, as we speak, a whole building cooking on sternos and these things. This is not right. It's not humanitarian. So we have to find different ways for people to age in place. We have to find different ways for people to live what they need to live, so they don't think of moving out or being moved out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess we'll move on from this housing topic now. Now, housing, I think, is a big issue in that district, and public safety is a big issue in that district. Besides for those two things, because our next question will be about public safety and police reform in that conversation, is there any other topic that you think is major in your district that you'd like to highlight and change if you're elected, Kenny?
So, right now, housing is the main issue, food deserts. We have people living in shelters. We have people who are affected by public safety. A lot of these shelters are built like mini prisons. You can't do anything. You have to eat at a regimented time, and then you have to leave in the morning. And then a lot of times there's no safety here. I'm not disagreeing with the need to reform policing. The question you gave was that we have a lack of public safety. We have to do things with the money that comes in. We have to provide programs that are going to help the community, but we also have to make sure that we have the police in check, doing what they need to do. We're talking about a whole reverse and changing on how we do policing. And a lot of the build a precinct program, build a block program that the precincts are doing and having like that, we have to take money from where it shouldn't go to, and we have to have impact in our places where we have high drugs and high violence. People are afraid. This is the things that we need to invest our money in.
Right. So we're going to dive into policing next. And if there's any other issue, right? Housing, policing, is there any other issue that you focus on? Let's see.
Education.
Okay.
Okay. Education will be a #1 priority because education is key. We want our future generation to be educated correctly. We need to get them back to school, period. Charter schools are doing it. Parochial schools are doing it. Why are our public schools taking so long to get our children back there? They've already lost an entire academic year. There needs to be a focus on this. There needs to be programs that need to be set up right now to help our children regain what they lost for that entire year. I feel that They need to develop curriculum and programs. Children have to catch up on everything. And I really feel that there are other ways that we need to bring back school zoning from K to 8 so that families, I mean, I'm a single mother. I dealt with all of this. I want to know where I'm working, where my child's going to school. I want to know that it's close to home. I don't want to know that my child's on a bus going to totally the other side of an area. This is about safety. While you're working, a parent is thinking, oh my God, I hope my child gets home. I hope my child is in a, these are very real things. And just for example, within Community Board 11, okay, and other areas too, but I know we have been owed 3,000 middle school seats. What's the deal? This has been brought up to City Council. This has been brought up to principals. Why aren't schools being built? Why are there no community centers? And yes, in 3 huge communities that are sister communities, Pelham Parkway, Van Nest, Morris Park, there are no community centers. Why are our children, don't they deserve that? Don't they need something for after school programs? So there's a lot of things with education that need to be addressed yesterday. Okay.
Oswald is the councilman. Is this something that's come up, education, or is there a different issue that you think is the #1 issue?
Yeah, absolutely. A big issue is the lack of opportunity, which is directly tied to education. The Bronx is populated by, many immigrants, people who come from all places of the world in search of opportunity. Like my parents who came 40 years ago into the Bronx from the Dominican Republic. And in many cases, they do not find that opportunity that they deserve, directly tied to the issue of schooling. On the campaign trail, I spoke to so many parents who said they have to travel an hour every single morning so that their child could go to a better school in Staten Island and Harlem and other sections of the city, and sometimes even outside the city. That's some parents. Imagine the parents who don't have the luxury of, having a car or having that extra hour so they could be able to send their child to a better school in another section. We need to bring opportunity to the Bronx. We need to make sure that directly tied to the issue of education that Bernadette stated, we have to make sure that every school in the Bronx and in the city has the tools they need to properly prepare students for the future. This includes funding for smaller classrooms so that students that are struggling, they could have smaller classrooms, and as a result, they'll be able to get more attention from their teacher. In addition to that, funding for technology, right? I've met with many principals last week who stated that, they're not able to properly teach during a pandemic, given that they have, for example, an outdated Wi-Fi system. A year ago, you didn't have 1,000 computers using the same Wi-Fi system in a school, and today that's what we have. So we have to make sure that every child is provided the opportunity or the education they deserve. So we absolutely have a lot of work to do with relation to our education system to make sure that every child gets the same opportunity regardless of zip code, age, income, and everything else.
I'd like to go to John next and ask you the same question. Do you think that's the #1 issue besides for the housing issue, the public safety issue that we'll get to, or is there another issue that you would want to highlight?
Yeah, today the country's job report came out and it showed that we're still 7 million jobs down from where we were in February. That's the #1 issue in the district. We have some of the highest unemployment rates in the district, and people are still looking for work. And they're looking for work that gives them dignity, not just minimum wage jobs. That means jobs that don't require a college degree that pay well. I have a specific plan to renovate the old Fordham Library and turn that into a tech development center so young people can get jobs that pay well, that don't require a college degree, but in technology. We also need to provide funding for training, such as commercial driver's licenses, or for people to work in the trades. These are easy things that the city council should be funding. And right now, the mayor proposed a $98 billion budget, the biggest in the city's history. It's important that the city council and the next council member puts that money towards job training and job development.
Aramis, what are your thoughts?
So one of the biggest things that we face is sort of job discrimination for the urban population, which I'd like to see a boost in that. I actually grew up in the Bronx, so I understand. I went to elementary school and then I went to middle school. My family ended up moving away. My mother ended up moving away for a better opportunity in Pennsylvania. I lived in Easton, Pennsylvania. I went to high school there. I clearly saw the difference. I went to high school. I came back my senior year, went to high school here. I clearly see the difference between our educations. We need to be not tougher, but we need to make sure that the schools that are getting funded, that they perform, and they perform on the test, they perform on every single level, because that's how we're going to push the young people of this district and of the Bronx to start seeking better opportunity, especially now with the booming economy we have. Even though the stimulus packages have created some sort of an inflation, we can keep helping the schools, keep funding them and improvement, but we have to make sure that they perform, and we have to make sure that the kids of our district are taken care of and are well educated. And one big thing is school safety. Inside school, I noticed that difference because from Pennsylvania to here, there was a bit of a more safety regimen, but I want to provide a safe learning environment for our kids, and I want to make sure that they get the funding they need and that they're able to perform and study, because I know how it is to grow up here. It's not always easy to get high grades, but you still have to be able to go to school to achieve, and that's what I want to make sure that everybody, every parent and that sends their kids to school every single day can ensure that when they do graduate from, because that's what we want to see, high graduation percentage. Want to see them graduate, that they go off and either SUNY or CUNY or wherever they go, that they are able to go to college and graduate from there as well. And then we need more scholarships, more programs, and that I seek to see from the city, because the city does provide a lot of great funding. We just need to bring it here to the district.
Thank you. And did you want to say something, Bernadette?
I just want to add one more thing. I know you need to go on to the next question, but the one thing that was not mentioned, and I'm just going to key it off, is that one of the main things is I'm a lifelong resident. I was born, raised here, hung out as a child. I went to grammar school here, Catholic school, high school, and then in Manhattan for college while I was working full time. Trust me. One of the main things that needs to be brought back, and John brought up, is vocational schools. We do not have vocational schools, and that is so important. Not every child, not every person is ready for college, whether if they can afford it or not, if they want to deal with the FAFSAs, or if they're not college material because they need to focus on stuff. So vocational schools are a priority, and they need to come back in the Bronx.
Thank you. And before we get into that public safety discussion, Steve, was there something that you wanted to?
Yes. What train goes to the middle of your district? What train line? Any?
The 2, the 5, the D.
Yes.
So if I would, because I haven't been to the district, or maybe I have, if I got off the 2 in the middle of the district and I wanted to kill a day, it's like, wow, here I am in the middle of this district. Where would you tell me to go? What would you say? Hey, check out.
Wow, now Steve's throwing in a fun question.
Oh, that is a fun question.
Where would you go? Hey, go here or something, where,
We have the 3rd largest shopping center in the Bronx called the Fordham Road Strip. We have the Botanical Gardens. We have the Bronx Zoo. We have beautiful places to visit in the Bronx. Okay, we have historical places. I'm sorry, go ahead.
In your district, is the Bronx Zoo in the district?
Yes.
It is the border. My house is across right off the Bronx Zoo on 174th Street, where you can get off on the Tremont Station in West Farms. And then the other side of the zoo is right a few blocks from my house. We have the Botanical Gardens, and take it away, Bernadette.
Okay, we got that. I could walk to the entrance of the Bronx Zoo, and I have many times. We also have the entrance to the Greenway right around the corner from 180th Street, which I've traveled on my bike. I've done the Tour de Bronx twice, once with my son, and then everybody else who was supposed to go with me punked out. I did it anyway, and it was wonderful. You have the Belmont area, you have Little Italy, you have the other areas in the Southern Boulevard. You've got the other hubs. There's so many areas, so many places to go. All you have to do is Google it. and it's right
If
there.
I got lost, if, I just came there. and
If
said,
you just got off, if you got off at Allerton Avenue, you walk west, you hit Bronx Park, one of the most beautiful parks. I'm part of the Bronx Park East Community Association. We've been the stewards working with the waterway and the Bronx River Alliance. There's canoeing there. There's
That's
a lot of
right.
things. We were able to clean up the park and the trail maintenance. The Bronx River is cleaner than it's ever been before. Something I started with Freddie Ferrer when he was borough president and continued on. We have two beavers, a species that was originally for the Bronx right there that hasn't been found. We call them Sonia after Sonia Sotomayor and Jose Serrano. So we live in a beautiful area. We just have a lot of problems and we want to help everybody.
Where else? Any?
There's
well,
so many
where would I
parks.
go?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'm a proud Belmont resident, 16 years now. So, one thing I can clearly say about this place is that there's a lot of great things to do. I love going to Little Italy, great place. A lot of great eateries there. They have Full Moon. They have, you could do for a while. You have the Columbus Park. I like going there, sitting, just looking at the statue. It's very nice. We have everything, Bronx, of course, Botanical Garden, which everybody's been there. If you haven't been there on a field trip as a kid in the elementary school, that's one thing I know. It's a very beautiful place. It always has been. They have a great collection of different animals and stuff of that nature to keep the kids entertained as well. So it's a great place. You could come here and go out with your wife, or go out with somebody who's around your age, or go with the kids. Take them out somewhere as well. It's for everyone. So yeah.
Now you mentioned Columbus Park. That reminds me of Columbus Day and what's happening with making this into an Indigenous person's holiday versus an Italian American holiday. And I know some groups are up in arms. Do we want to talk about that for a minute, just for fun, for a second?
Sure. We have to respect both the heritage of the Italian people, but also acknowledge that nothing was discovered, it was encountered. And we have Indigenous people, and a lot of us who are Latinx, we have the beautiful diversity of being Arawaks and Tainos. The word hurricane and canoe are from the Taino. Barbecue, that's being used in the Southwest. Those are all Indigenous words.
Do you think this park should be renamed?
I think it should. I think it should.
It should. Raise your hand so the audience.
Columbus Park should be renamed.
Kenny, you just said you thought it should.
Yeah,
be.
I was sorry. It was out of screen.
We need to see your hand in the screen.
Sorry.
So
I think that we need to. I know we could agree to disagree, but I think that the enlightened people we should honor Italian efforts, but we should also respect the 500 years of indignity that the Indigenous people have gone through. And that's something it's literally in my DNA. And we went through a lot of different things. And even with Trump hanging the picture of that Native American killer, President Andrew Jackson, that hung on the White House, it's something very real to the people. We've lost so much because of genocide.
Anyone else on this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to really totally disagree with this. To be quite honest, if you look at groups of immigrants, and we have, most of us have been here, well, I have a very long time, each 20 or 30 years has their influx of immigrants. So when my grandfather came here in 1904, and then my family followed, they came through Ellis Island. So we, like any other culture, there you have your pride. And Columbus, because of some situations, remember, you have to think of the actual facts of the history. So not even to get into that, but it is important to the Italian heritage. So keep what has been there. But if Indigenous people, et cetera, feel that it's something, don't take away, add on to it. The Irish have their heritage. Everybody else, the West Indies have their heritage. The Latinos, the LBG, everybody has their. Why is the Italian people why am I being picked on?
Anyone else?
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
so-
let's.
so- yeah, so
Go
2
ahead.
points. The first point is on the previous question. Everyone did a great job summing up the 15th council district, Bronx Zoo, Botanical Garden, many others, including Arthur Avenue. They have the best food in the city. One thing that was not mentioned was a really important museum that we have in the district, which is Poe Cottage, the home of former author
right.
Edgar Allan Poe. It's actually located right in front of my home in Kingsbridge Avenue. And when it snows, it looks beyond beautiful. I have the perfect view to that.
And what about Columbus? Because you're in the council now, it's a debated thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that is a very important conversation that we should have with the community, and whatever we decide to do, we should have a conversation before taking any action. We need to listen to all sides, and then we'll do what the majority wants to do. But that is a conversation that we should absolutely have with the people of the district and the location, the region.
An extremely PC way of answering that
Yeah,
question.
yeah, come on.
Give
You
us
gotta
real
come out on a limb
thoughts.
here. If you had to vote tomorrow, how would you vote?
As a council member, my role is to amplify, the way I say it is, amplify the voices of the people of the Bronx. And before I make any decision on controversial topics, I would absolutely listen to all the sides and the people, especially from that region.
Fine. And John, you've been kind of quiet. What are your thoughts on this Christopher Columbus issue with regard to the park and the holiday?
Well, this isn't an issue people on the ground are concerned about. They're worried about getting housing and getting jobs. They're not talking about a statue. So I don't think it's a topic that's controversial or particularly important. We need to
Really?
focus on real issues.
If I may,
It's something I've heard a lot about. Yes, Aramis.
if I may, first of all, I just want to say this is a very strong Italian neighborhood. We have to remember the Ellis Islands times of this place. I know I'm Puerto Rican. I come from a Puerto Rican background. My whole family's Puerto Rican. I know what it is. I know what it is. As Mr. Kenny, I understand what Taino people is, and I duly respect the past of America and our country. But I believe that's literally that stairs. That's stairs. I just respect. I know a lot of old Italian people in this neighborhood. I don't know, they would be upset if they lost the statue, but they would, it's just something for them. It's just something for them. So yeah, sorry. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's move on to more important issues. John, would you like to pick an issue to talk about, or you want to talk about public safety?
I can answer the public safety question.
Sure. So tell us what should be done and what your vision would be in the council overall when it comes to public safety and the police.
I think the root of it right now, we understand that crime has increased. There's a few reasons for that. One, less people are taking the subway. And when you have less people taking the subway, there's more prone to be incidents of crime. I think big picture, this opportunity that we have a $98 billion budget that's going to be voted on in June. Are we directing funds towards workforce development so people can get jobs so they don't have to commit crimes? Are we making sure that mental health responders are being funded so they're responding to mental health incidents instead of the police officers? Taking it a step further, something I've done on a small level, I funded open gyms for young people so they can have a safe place to be in the summer. That should be expanded citywide. There's no reason we should have empty gyms, empty schoolyards during the summer, and a bunch of young people looking for recreation. So those are just a few of the things that we need to do for public safety. But it's important to know that this isn't going to be fixed in a few months, in a year. This is a long-term process, and it's only going to get really good if we recover our economy and people get back to work.
Let's hear from you, Oswald, next, Councilman.
Yeah, so the public safety issue is a big problem in the 15th council district. I'm not going to be politically correct about it because if a senior is afraid to leave their home, and I've actually was door knocking at a senior center yesterday, and I heard directly from them, if they are afraid to leave their home after 5 o'clock because of the crime problem in the neighborhood, I'm not going to be politically correct about it. I'm going to resolve the problem, and I'm going to be as vocal as possible. So crime is a problem in the district, and anyone who denies it, they are not paying attention to the people of the 15th council district. They are not listening to them. Crime is a big problem. I think there's many causes. I think lack of opportunity is one of them. If schools aren't properly preparing our children, eventually they're gonna be at risk of dropping out, and that school to prison pipeline that we so often hear about. Another thing is directly tied to opportunity is the lack of jobs in the district. I've spoken with so many parents around the Southern Boulevard section. There was actually a shooting there about a month ago, who said, you know, that their children literally have very little to do during the summer, and that's when they start hanging out, and then things like that happen. So we need more opportunity, more summer programs, more jobs, and etc. And we also need more services for those that have mental health complications. They actually deserve the service. They deserve services, and we have to make sure that we're bringing funding for that. But public safety is a problem. It's all directly tied to opportunity and access to services that are not being provided to some groups.
Kenny, what are your thoughts about public safety and policing?
We have to have, in Senator Jamal Bailey, who I work for, we have a program called Caps Lock, where we bring the police and the community together to speak out on different issues. We have right now overactive vice squad and an underactive community interchange. We need to focus funds that are going to help children get involved. We have a great program that works with the police, like the PAL. I'm a product of the Police Athletic League. We don't put enough monies on there, open the play streets for the children to do something, increase summer youth. We need to do that. We need to allocate the funds to make those things happen, but we also need to keep it safe. Our MTA has been suffering large amounts of crime, and we have to have more personnel in there. We have to have people clean, and we have to have people make sure that people are safe and improve those communication apparatuses that don't work half the time. So these are things that we can do, but we can create a good rapport between the police and between our community, because we actually need to have, and where we need to have more cameras, we need to do that as well.
Bernadette?
Sorry, I just almost pulled out my headphone. Well, first of all, if you're asking me the exact question, I do not feel that defunding the police is the answer to anything. If anything, if there's a question about money, then look into where money is being allocated and switch things up around and give them additional money. Because first of all, what problem is with our situation right now, the police at this point, they're given a toolbox. And bottom line, their toolboxes, their tools are being taken away from them. So we all know about that. So let me ask you, talking about safer communities, let's just say the issue with the bail reform, okay? The reason for the bail reform, and I've spoken out about this a lot, the reason for the bail reform is a great thing, okay? Because if I get in front of a judge and I have to put down $100,000 for bail, I'm not going to be able to afford that. So I don't want to wait 3 years in Rikers for a speedy trial, okay? But the other issues, and I know the 4 senators that basically were, that worked on this, there were other issues that shouldn't have been put in with it, okay? The reason for it was good. So take that, and then take that all the jails are being emptied out, okay? And then you have an elected officials that say, yeah, but we want to defund the police. So let me ask you, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel warm and safe? I don't know. It's a rhetorical question, but I'll tell you one thing, it does not make me feel safe. So I think that, I mean, I grew up with, I have my younger brother is severely autistic. I think the police, also LEOs, need to be better trained to deal with people with cognitive and mental health issues. I think that is important. I think there's more money need to be put to those resources. I think that if a tragedy occurs, there should be body cameras, and so that there are live interactions with mental health people who have more information that could work on a real-time situation and not escalate it, and to de-escalate it. Just a few of my ideas.
Thank you.
And if I could just kind of throw in a final point to earlier. We also have to make sure that we are deterring crime, and we can do that in many different ways. Murphy houses around the West Farms area. It's a 21, 22-story building, housing projects. I spoke with a tenant a few weeks ago who said there was actually a shootout or shooting in the lobby. And I actually remember visiting that building a few months ago. Big building, the elevators are always going out, but also lack of security cameras and also lack of proper lighting in the building. So we have to deter crime, and if we don't have security cameras in areas that there's unfortunately crime, and also we don't have the proper lighting, I think that's a problem. So as council member, public safety is a big priority for me. That's something that I consistently heard from the voters. And by the way, I'm proud to announce that I'm going to be bringing money to install those security cameras and proper lighting in Murphy houses and in many other sections to make sure that the people could feel safe in their own home and also in their own building.
And Aramis, let's get your thoughts on policing and public safety in the district.
Well, I spoke with the Bronx Republican Party some back in the primaries. I spoke with them briefly. I went to, and they actually said it's really about getting the police to handle things in a delicate manner. You know, every matter is different. I lived here about a week ago. Or a week and a half ago, there was some brutalness, some brutal stuff that happened outside. I don't really know what happened. I come outside, very scary scene. And I know this, this is New York City, but we have to get the police to, first of all, handle things in a delicate manner for things that aren't of that escalating of nature. But when it comes to true crime, when it comes to crime of this sort of nature, we need to tackle it head on. I believe that we need more forces, task forces. I believe we need greater policing, but I don't want to over militarize our police. I just believe that we can't have things like this happening, especially with children and elderly and innocent people walking around just trying to enjoy our neighborhoods.
Thank you. And look, we have 6 minutes left and we have our candidates here on the screen. So maybe let's just do concluding thoughts, just 1 minute each. And let's begin with John Sanchez.
This election, June 22nd, is really pivotal. We can elect a new mayor. We can elect a new borough president. And for the 95% of people that didn't vote in March, we want to hear your voice. We want to make sure that your voice is heard. I'm running for city council to make this a neighborhood where people want to stay in, where they don't feel like they have to leave to Long Island to make it. That means expanding job opportunities for people that don't have college degrees at the old Fordham Library. That means finally renovating Tremont Park so we can have a recreation center there that we can be proud of. That means fixing the traffic on Fordham Road so you don't get a headache when you're going through the neighborhood. That also means helping us recover through the pandemic. Things are opening up, but we need to make sure we don't open up the same way we did a year ago. We can't resort to where we were a year ago. We need to have a fair city, a city where people can rise up, whether they come from humble beginnings, and make this the best city council district in the entire city. And I hope to count on your vote June 22nd.
Thank you. Current Councilman Oswald Feliz, your conclusion thoughts.
Yeah, on March 23rd, I had the privilege of getting elected as the council member of the 15th Council District. I've been the council member for approximately 2-3 weeks now, and I have already delivered on issues, or I'm delivering on the issues that I promised to the people of the Bronx. I ran on a platform of education, housing, and public safety. And I have already delivered. In fact, I'm gonna be bringing $600,000 to bring a state-of-the-art sound lab to a school in Webster Avenue. I'm also gonna be working on issues of quality of life. I'm actually taking a tour with the sanitation commissioner next week to talk about sanitation problems in the district, a problem that has consistently came up when speaking with voters. And on public safety, I'm also bringing security cameras, proper lighting, and other things to deter crime in our neighborhoods. I'm humbly asking for everyone's vote on June 22nd so I could continue delivering for my home of the Bronx.
Thank you. Bernadette.
Thank you. As a candidate running for District 15, if you want a candidate that works with practical, common sense solutions, then I ask you all for your vote. I want everybody to know that I do not run on a party's ideological agenda, and I do not run with special interest groups giving me the reasons for what I should be running for. I'm not running on any personal or any political agenda. I am running for the needs of the people in my community in District 15. I'm focused on their needs. And that's something that I want to bring to them, which is my dedication and commitment that I have brought to my community. As a president of the Venice Neighborhood Alliance, we have brought so much with our partnership with the police. We have brought our communities connected. I want to bring that to the rest of District 15. So check out my key issues. Go to Ferrara for citycouncil.com. And if you do anything, just go on to my key issues and read it. And if you're in agreement, which I know you will be, I know that you could either vote for me, hopefully you will make me your first choice, and you can hit the donate button if you want. But I also want you to know that my name is the #1 name on the ballot for District 15. And I want you to choose me as your #1 choice. I want to be your voice, and I want to bring my passion and dedication to the people in District 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you so much for this beautiful debate. Listen, I've been for 18 years being your public servant. I've been helping you in solving your constituent problems. I'm here to represent because I have a breadth of experience to work with people to get things done. We have a public safety matter of getting crime to be down. We need to make sure that everyone is housed. I don't want to represent a district that's full of just scattered site temporary housing. I want something that we could build to grow up in, to grow in, that if you're disabled, that the doorways will be widened, that you'll have bathrooms that will change to accommodate you, that you can grow into and retire into your golden years. I want to make sure that the city can do things to help people, like revamp adult protective services, help people in their problems, make sure that we have a farmer's market so people can get fresh produce, so we can eliminate those deserts and have healthy eating and healthy to live in a healthier environment. So I'm asking you, KennyAgosto.com for your vote. And if I can't be your #1, please consider me as your #2. Thank you very much.
And last but not least, in our last minute, Aramis.
Okay. First of all, I want to say, come June, I do want to win the Republican primary. So for all the voters out there, please take me into account when you're making your decision on the ballot. It would be to move on forward so we can go to November and we can make a huge difference here in our council. You know, I've as a 6-7 year construction worker, I'm here to build infrastructure that provides for our citizens, for our native New Yorkers who desperately are in need, and also to take care of the middle class. I know we speak a lot about the lower class, but we take care of the middle class and just take everyone into take care of everyone's needs. I'm here to listen to the people. And, you know, I know that there hasn't been a Republican city councilman since the early 90s. And I understand that my party is not the popular one here, but I'm a candidate and my beliefs align with the party. And I'm hoping to bring that the Republican Party. I'm hoping to bring that here to the Bronx and make it and help spread what I felt was a great administration as before, help bring some of his Trump's values, and also bring some of our just bring my own values of understanding this district's neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, candidates. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you to our live audience. And you can find a recording of this debate/discussion for Council District 15 on politicsny.com/debates. We are doing debates for every single council district, every single seat actually, and providing a platform to every single candidate to have their voice heard as part of our Democracy on Display initiative that I just coined right now on Schneps Media. PoliticsNY. Steve Witt is the editor-in-chief. We're accepting op-eds from candidates. We just want everyone's voice to be heard. Make sure you're following us on social media. If you at us, we'll respond, we'll retweet, we'll repost. And if you haven't been part of my 3 questions in 3 minutes, again, please reach out. It caps next week. And thank you so much. Good luck to all the candidates.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Good luck, everybody. Great job,
Thank you,
everybody.
Sky. Thank you, Steve, for this opportunity.
It's voteajo15.com, by the way. Sorry about that. And thank you so much again.